Okay, I've started recording.
When you let
Yeah,
me
I
in.
gotta let you in.
Hey, we're in.
Put that down there by the president, please.
That's your microphone.
Yeah, but it's actually for all you guys on that end of
Oh.
the table. So I've got a microphone here for us. And then we've got that one down there.
Well, I
For
think
you
it's
guys.
pretty sensitive. It's picking up my voice from way down there. Unless this is my voice going that way. I don't know.
Well, you've got this voice that just deals with microphones in a particular
Yeah, it
way.
works. Huh?
That's why the microphone gain on your HF rig is only set to 1 out of 100.
13. Is that 13?
Okay, ready? Meeting called to order at 12:24, and the only person absent is David Miller.
Yeah.
The rest are at the meeting. Okay, may I have a motion to ratify the last minutes from the June 11th meeting?
I move to accept and approve the minutes from the last meeting. This is William.
Okay.
I'll
moved by
second that.
William.
Tony.
Tony seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried, minutes accepted. Approval of the treasury report. Everybody got a report from Tony.
Yeah.
Any discussion here? The only question I have is, you have the same number for both the balances and fund balances. But they're all different categories. So is there some, these are both the same, right?
Right, so
So,
this is actually the money in the bank
Yeah.
and PayPal, and this is how it's broken up into the funds. So these are supposed to be equal to each other.
okay,
Yeah.
so these are the category, I mean, this is where the deposits are, and this is the category of.
Right, so this shows the bank and the balance
Yeah.
mainly at the PayPal,
Mhm.
bank and PayPal.
Okay.
And then here's how it's broken down into the different funds.
Okay, the other question I had, what is the humanitarian fund?
The Barbara Darling
I'll
one.
answer that. So I did some work for Barbara Darling. Sonny and I went out there
Mm,
and fixed her antenna because the rotator broke so she could keep doing phone patches to Micronesia.
Oh, yeah.
And then she tried to pay me for it. And I didn't want to take it. And we almost went fisticuffs over it. So I told her to donate it. And then so she came to the club and said, I want to donate this to the club for supporting all the work we do around the world. Well, we didn't have a fund for that. So a motion was made, the board approved to create, as we have the repeater fund, an allocation within the account,
Mm.
a humanitarian fund. And then that humanitarian fund covers things like dues for members overseas, like, or no, license renewal for people overseas. William on,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we paid for actually his ARRL subscription for, it was 2 years.
yeah, so, okay, it was ARL dues.
So basically, we have had other people besides Barbara donate into that fund.
Mm.
And so it's used for humanitarian purposes as the board allocates.
Yep,
Okay,
and then we made one modification to this at the general membership meeting in November, and that was that fund is also used to pay the dues of people to be BIARC members who do not have reasonable means to be able to pay the dues on their own.
okay, and the board assessed the situation.
The
and
membership did
As
that.
a membership.
Yeah, the membership told the board to use those humanitarian funds. That was when we raised the dues. It was brought up about what if people can't afford it? And we said, well, they shouldn't, if they can't afford the raise in the dues, $5 more,
Mm.
we shouldn't be charging them those dues at all. Let's pay their dues out of the humanitarian fund.
Oh,
So that hasn't happened yet. We haven't paid for any member dues out of the humanitarian fund, but if the need arose, we have that option.
okay, great. Any other questions? If not, can I motion to approve accept the report from Tony on the comp finances,
William moves to accept the report subject to audit.
subject to audit? That's gonna be a year from now.
Well, it's just the standard motion.
Yeah, okay. Second, Joe seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, any other thing to report on, Tony? Members, how's the member status right now?
I believe the number was 54 paid members. And I did want to mention that all of these reports, I've got a breakdown schedules that I can show. It's all electronic. That can show the disbursements, that can show the income categories, individual payments to each category. And I'm a little bit concerned that I am not planning to run for the board next year. I believe my term expires at the end of this year. And whoever takes over as treasurer in 2024 is going to need some training.
Is it in Excel?
It's basically a spreadsheet on Google Sheets, but it can easily
yeah,
be
Google
brought
Sheets,
into
okay. Same
Excel.
thing.
Yeah.
Same
And
thing.
typically when I publish it, I convert it to PDF and send it out that way. But the source is Google Sheet, which can easily convert to Excel.
So you should consider continuing on the board.
Well, I've been treasurer for a number of years now, 6, I think, 5 or 6.
Yeah, I've been through 3 positions on the board in the time he's been treasurer. I've been vice president, president, and now trustee, and he's been stuck as treasurer the whole time.
Yeah.
It's one of those wonderful jobs.
Yeah, you did a
I'd
great
like to
job,
keep-
Tony.
I'd like to keep you on the board.
Yeah.
Especially because we're gonna have some serious brain drain coming on the board. I mean, because if you leave, we're also gonna lose Jim, roughly that time frame. And so I'd like to keep you on that board, even if we just roll you into another position on the board, even at large, but.
Well, I'll consider that. And as far as the treasurer is concerned, what I think would be ideal would be if we could find a volunteer to shadow me that I could
Mhm.
kind of put the grunt work out. So the toughest part of being treasurer, well, it's gotten a lot tougher over the years. But writing the receipts takes a fair amount of time. Writing checks takes a fair amount of time. It's a pretty basic function, but it's kind of just takes time to do it.
Yeah.
I've also, I'm maintaining the records 3 places, because I still print out the hard copies from time to time to make sure those are updated. So I've got them on the Google Drive. And I also have a separate database. And I've been having trouble keeping that database up to date. Because all of our systems are not integrated, every time I get a new member, it's about an 8-step process to
Wow.
update the records in the spreadsheet, update the records in the database, update the records on the website. There's just a bunch of steps. Send them out the welcome letter, welcome email. There's a lot of steps every time we add a new member. And that's one of the reasons why I haven't really pushed to market BIARC membership, because it takes so long to get a new
No
member
incentive.
into the records that I just wouldn't have time to deal with it with all my other responsibilities. But if I could work with someone who I could give access to all these things, it really doesn't take a lot of knowledge to train somebody how to do this. But it is a commitment of time, an hour, 2, maybe 3 hours a week.
Can that be consolidated from 8 steps to? 3?
That's the thing. There are more automated systems out there, and I've looked at several different options, but they all require, they're not free.
Yeah,
They all require money.
Yeah.
So, like if we went with a hosted website, say Squarespace, for example, we could make their system where you pay online and it automatically adds you to their database, and it automatically then can publish the member list out to the website. That would consolidate, 3 or 4 things just right then and there, probably the bulk of it. But you're looking at $40, $50 a month. It's kind of, that's the issue is money. Doing it for free, I've had to use the free tools. I get Google for free. That works great. I suppose if we had someone that could write macros and automate it, that's an option, but that's
Maybe 30 years ago, I could help you on that, but not now.
See, that's a Gary thing right there. He's on the computer stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say Jim, but Jim's bailing.
So I had it set up so that the database would publish directly to the web space or to the web page. But that was when I was playing with the WordPress version of the website. They have a plugin that allowed me to automate the Caspio database that I'm using to automatically publish to the WordPress website. And I just pasted in a little code snippet that connected those two together and put in the key, and that was working fine. But then basically when I asked Lee Critchlow to help with the website, and she went into the WordPress interface and couldn't make heads or tails of it, I wanted her to help me publish the newsletter on the website. I came to the conclusion that maybe WordPress wasn't the best option for us because it is kind of a complicated, it's
Oh,
not.
it is. It's sophisticated.
easy.
It has a lot of functions and
To
features.
learn how to do it. And I was really wanting, if we're going to replace the website with something other than hand-coded HTML, something more automated, I wanted it to be a solution that other people could easily learn. And WordPress didn't seem to fit the bill. And so one of the reasons why I stuck with the simple HTML, which means that when I want to publish the member list, I copy and paste it from the spreadsheet. Yeah, essentially or actually, oftentimes I just maintain it as two separate documents and manually put changes in. The straight HTML, it's very simple. And I was kind of operating under the assumption that there's a lot of people that know simple HTML. I'm not sure if that assumption is true or not, but I figured that more people would know how to do HTML.
Maybe 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, I was
HTML.
gonna say, it's so simple though.
It is, but
So I stayed with the simple environment, which means simple but manual.
Wix and Squarespace are pretty flexible,
Yeah,
but it's going to cost a bit. So,
Yeah.
but not as much as.
yeah, but the point is, we still need to find support within the community for us that knows that side of the technology and is willing to take on that slice of it.
Yeah.
Because that's not actually a treasure or duty per se.
Mhm.
Tony's just been propping us up.
Yeah, he should just be a user of the system, not the custodian of it. Yeah. Can you put a lot of thought into that and come up with an idea on how we
so
can do
like I
this?
said, we've got we're using the free version of the Caspio online database, and it only allows one person to use it at a time, but I could share the password to let other people into it. I'm pretty happy with it, but I can just as easily export that data to any database, really easy, or any spreadsheet. And there's a lot of potential. There's WordPress plugins that do membership management. Paid Membership Pro is an example of a WordPress plugin. So WordPress would be pretty good if we had a couple of volunteers that were comfortable in that environment. I know it can do all the stuff we need it to do, and I figured out how to make it work.
We also
It took
need
me a while though.
we also need membership privacy capability too.
Yeah, so we did get our digital certificate deployed, and so that means that we can do secure logins, on the website if we want to deploy that, and that's something that WordPress does pretty well, in Squarespace, all the public, types of hosting services. That's
Okay.
pretty easy to deploy. I've seen a lot of different groups struggle with this, like Aries. We have a PHP programmer that does it all just the old school way. And that's really not the direction that I think the world is moving in.
And if he goes, who's gonna pick it up, right?
And she's been too busy to support us too. So yeah, I really think Wix or Squarespace is a pretty good, even something like QuickBooks probably has an interface that would take their the list.
I can actually tell you that it does.
And export it to the website, or possibly a live link if it's hosted,
And so what you do is you dump it into a separate SQL, and then you scrape the SQL to the website.
Yeah,
That way there's a layer of
So there's
separation.
solutions to this problem. I just haven't found one within our budget.
Okay. or with that we're willing to. Okay, right.
Yeah.
All righty, okay, let's go to committee reports. David's not here, but he submitted a report. Are there any discussion on that? He gave I read it through one time, but it's mainly pending activities and also scheduled participation. The one that I see out that stands out is the volcano run, because I'm in the Rotary Club and we benefit from BIARC participation in it.
Did he send that to just you or did he send that to everybody?
He sent it to the group.
Oh, okay.
He sent it to everybody.
I move to approve the PFCC report.
That doesn't require a motion to approve. Nope, we just receive them.
Okay.
There's no questions or anything, okay? Yeah, I don't know if we have to actually approve it.
No.
No.
Because it's
No,
just a
because it's
committee
just a report to the board.
Huh?
It's just a report to the board. We're just
Yeah, just a
receiving it.
report to the board.
But we do
and-
publish it. In the
He doesn't
newsletter.
ask for any actionable items on it, so we'll just accept it. Okay, Gary's not here for the operating activities anyway.
Well, Gary's
Gary's
not
not
the-
on operating activity.
you.
What happened?
He
He hasn't been for
Remember,
a year.
he resigned from the board and he resigned his committee posts when he did that, except for digital systems.
Right.
It's been Joe for the past year.
John Bush is supposedly on it,
Yeah, he's not here.
but basically, I really don't have a report. We have the quarterly workshops coming up. I believe the first one's on filtering, right?
First one may be filtering, but filtering is definitely an option that people have said they want, so we're definitely going to do a session on filtering. I don't know if we'll have the boards in time to make it the first one.
Do you have any idea when the first one would be, the first workshop?
It's gonna be this quarter, but I don't exactly know when yet. I'm trying to work out my travel schedule for work, and once I know when I will and won't be on the island, I can figure out.
Okay, good deal. Other than that, we were talking recently about going back to the park that we went to on field day for a worldwide HF contest. Remember, we talked about that? And so I think that may be coming soon. We'll find out more as we get closer. But that's in the works, and otherwise than that, I don't really have anything else.
You know what date that thing is?
I think it's in October, right?
I believe so.
I don't know the exact date.
Okay, Jim, programs and digital systems.
Digital, there's no activity this past month. We were focused more on field day. So there's really nothing. And as far as the programs, we got I'm doing something on mapping GPS today. And then next month, I'm hoping to do something on the tiny spectrum analyzer, tiny SA.
Oh.
If it shows up. It's supposed to be here in the next week. And I want to demonstrate, people always talk about how the bow fangs are dirty. I want to hook up a radio and be able to actually see it, how dirty is it? How much does it vary between, say, two older bow fang and a new bow fang or some other radio? So I thought it would be a good way of demonstrating the SA, and also something that you always see people complaining about on social media. It's always fun to bash the bow fangs.
Well, how about we compare it against my $8,000? No, I'm not kidding.
Yeah, that'd be great.
We could take that. We can take, like, if anybody has a
mid-level, like a
what's
mid-level
that Yaesu?
FT70.
Yeah, the FT70.
I can bring that,
Yeah.
or you can bring that. Yeah, well,
Yeah. So if let's do like a UV5R against a newer bow fan.
Yeah.
An FT70 and then my Motorola.
Make sure you bring some attenuators.
Yep,
for the
I
testing,
ordered
yeah.
it. Oh, that was a quick question. So the tiny SA can handle up to 10 dBs, which is like, what was that, 0.01 watts or something?
Yeah.
So I ordered a 40 dB attenuator.
Okay.
So would that be good? That would be more than enough to protect it, right?
I'm gonna make you do the math.
Yeah, I looked on the website and I believe that would be it.
Okay,
'Cause that
so So how many dBm does a portable put out?
It's between,
Bringing
I
out the professor in me.
think it's between 10 and 20.
Okay, so
This isn't 20
Zero-
dBm, 10 watts.
0 dBm is 1 milliwatt.
Yeah.
10 milliwatts is 10 dBm.
Mhm.
100 milliwatts is 20 dBm.
So 30 dBm is 1 watt.
Yep, 30 dBm is 1 watt.
Yeah.
40 is 10. So if you had a total of 10 watts of output from that thing, which some of those Baofangs go up to 7, right? So we're just below that 10, and you scrub that down, that's going to get you down to just under 1 milliwatt. Now, for actual accurate measuring, you probably need another 30 dB, because you don't want to run a receiver at its saturation. It won't get damaged, but it's not going to be very linear. You're not going to get good measurements that way. So the goal isn't to get it down into just the safe range. We want to get the measurement down into the best dynamic range for the receiver. So if we can get the measurements under, say, about -30 dBm, we're going to be doing a lot better. Now, that said, you got that dummy load I gave you, right?
Yes,
So that has a -30 sampler on it.
right.
So if we transmit into that dummy load and then put your 40 dB attenuator in line between the sample port on the attenuator and the spectrum analyzer. you're good to go.
Perfect.
Okay, so I'll have everything we need.
On top of
then.
that, I will bring all my attenuation and
Okay.
adaptation in and make sure we have what we need.
Gonna blow things up.
Yeah, yeah, as soon as you get it, yeah.
Jim, what's that device? The tiny SM?
Tiny SA.
It's
Tiny
Or-
spectrum
Just,
analyzer.
Yeah.
just also that if you don't get it in time, I think Hank has one.
Yeah,
I'm working on getting one too.
I got the Tiny SA Ultra, the newest one.
So up to 5.8 gigs.
By the way, I
Yeah,
got
to be honest, I don't remember.
my video capture card now, so we can record HDMI from anything. So I can bring my spectrum analyzer as a backup, and we can plug the screen in and use it just like a camera on Zoom now if we need to.
Oh, nice.
So that's tinysa.org.
I didn't say dot
No,
anything.
this
I
tiny
wanna
SA,
find it. I don't know.
just
how to find it.
Amazon tiny SA, it'll pop up.
Yeah,
The
just
thing
like
doesn't
mine-
make the VNAs.
Yeah, just like the Nano VNA,
Yep,
there's different
same case.
manufacturers. and
Yep.
there's-
Okay.
Yeah, mine's coming from AliExpress in China.
There we go.
El cheapo.
Yes. It was half the
Okay.
price of Amazon.
Yes, it is.
Is there any benefit, you think, in getting Talmadge to come over and
Oh,
do a
well,
presentation?
Yeah.
No,
If you can do it, more power to you.
no,
I
but,
mean, sure, yeah, I mean, it would fill the seats.
we're always talking about civil defense from different points of view, so.
But we can't even get the past president of this club who worked at civil defense to come into a meeting.
Yeah,
Oh, so why don't we try then? Huh?
Oh, we've tried.
Well,
Try 'em.
okay,
I'm not sure how productive it would be.
no, I mean,
What
you know,
are
we
you
don't
gonna ask
try
him to
for
present?
guarantee we're not gonna do it, right?
What are you gonna ask him to present?
Talk about civil defense from the communications point of view, their needs, what kind of challenges.
Yeah,
they
you're not
have.
gonna get that.
He's not gonna talk about that?
Nope.
Why?
It's a civil defense thing. That I don't know any other way to describe it.
Okay, would you mind then if I were to casually
Oh, no,
converse with
you
them?
can always ask. I'm just
Yeah.
telling you. that-
Yeah. Okay,
just warning you, you're
Yeah.
not likely to get much of a positive response. But it's worth a try.
Some
Yeah.
groundwork, I think, needs to be laid. There's several outstanding issues that need to be discussed, that are critical that we discuss, that we haven't been able to discuss,
yeah,
that need to be discussed in private before they could really say anything. I mean, we're just blowing smoke right now.
Yeah, like I told you, it's a messy situation politically, so
Mm,
it may not even be worth poking the bear.
But I'm going to be poking the bear.
yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm
Somewhat
saying, we have to have a
Privately.
coordinated front with this. So I mean,
No, I see the need, so we gotta find a way to do it.
actually, what may be better is to see if we can get somebody from Hyena.
So the guy who was there, he resigned, right? Who's the
Robin
head of it
Luke?
now?
Well, there's plenty of people there. but-
They lost like more than half their staff and they had to replace them.
Mhm.
So there's a whole bunch of new people that I don't know.
Well, the guy that was with Haima, he glorifies everything but it was very shallow, so I didn't like the hard questions we asked.
So again, there's a big state of transition. They have, there's some aspirational things that I've heard Civil Defense express, Bill Hansen express that he wants to accomplish. I'm not seeing any movement, or I'm seeing a little bit of movement, but there's a lot of question marks.
Just enough that people can say there is movement. That's the goal.
So it's some big changes that have been being talked about for years, maybe just starting to move forward, just beginning to move forward, but it's just too soon to say.
Okay,
Well, and that's where I say it may not be worth poking the bear to get them to come in and talk to us, because we don't want to stifle that movement.
So
yeah,
I'm
well,
seeing some.
that's the thing, we
positive
don't know. A lot of times we think we're gonna stifle it, but actually it might accelerate it. And because
No.
of no,
I'm telling you,
yeah,
working
but
with civil defense as I do,
it's your perception that,
but it's a
it
shared
tells me that, I
perception.
see.
There are a lot of other people I can bring in to talk to you that are gonna give you that perception.
yeah. And
But
I
let's
also-
table it till next
yeah,
month. I really think I'm gonna make some progress in the next 30 days.
See,
And I should be able to add some hopefully positive things to the PSCC report that will allow us to move forward.
okay,
All right.
good. All right, thank
That
you.
was good.
William, on the voice repeater.
Okay, so we just had the voice repeaters meeting before this board meeting. We discussed the current state of the Kalani site access limitations that we have, where there are only two keys available to access the site at the moment. One's at the state, one's at the county. And that the route of access we were using, where we went through the lower DLNR gate, is no longer an option, which means that people not on the Kalani prison access list will no longer be allowed to join work parties. That's going to directly affect the Kalani linking project. The repeater committee has designated an additional person for access, addition into myself. And that will be our newest member, Thomas. And then we would also like to get a member of the Digital Systems Committee, whoever they deem, to be able to pass the background on at Kalani Prison and also be eligible for access.
How is it that done?
Groveling largely to the warden.
No, is that
There's a form you
written
fill out.
application?
Yeah, it's a written application. It's a form you fill out, social security, date of birth.
Yeah.
And it's a criminal background check.
Okay, so there's no class or anything
Nope.
like that, okay.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
So, the long roadblock is breaking free. They have charged my credit card for the standoff for Kalani Tower, so we can put up the microwave antenna and all of that. The invoice they sent me said 4 to 8 weeks of shipping, which I think is just their standard stamp. I know it's shipping by ocean, so it is going to be a number of weeks. The shipping they charged me was higher than what they quoted me, so I have to push back on that, but I don't want it to jeopardize receiving that clamp. So if the difference is de minimis, I'm going to ask the board just to reimburse it and we'll just let it go. But that is finally coming, because that has been the biggest roadblock in all of our projects, because until that piece gets done, we can't really do anything with anything else. With that, and in relation to another item, it's time to procure the electronics. We didn't purchase the electronics in advance because why buy electronics when they're going to be outdated by the time you get there? And since we had this big delay, we put off buying the computers and radio interfaces. So the repeater committee is asking the board to authorize expenditure up to $350 for URI-X interfaces and accessories, and then an additional $350 for Raspberry Pi or other comparable available single board computer. There's limited supply available at the moment, which is why we leave it open. But so 2 $350 purchases to get the devices and their accessories.
Okay, can I get a motion? Yeah, I get a motion.
You can't move, you're not on the board.
Oh, gotcha.
I move.
You will second.
Okay, Joe
Hey.
moves and Roy
Roy
seconds.
seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay, and then with that, that's gonna get us the URIXs for not only those repeater links, but that's also going to give us a URIX and a board to do the gateway that the membership asked us to put together. And as you may recall, in the last membership meeting in May, Gary Schweider, WH6 EPS, put forth a motion and the membership voted on it and approved to direct the board to create a gateway that people who are in the hospital or on vacation or so can use. So that's going to include the hardware for that in that purchase as well.
Question, the URIX, is that like a board that snaps onto the?
No, it's a USB and it has a DB25 that has all the pins. So you do a DB25 to DB25 pinout, and that gives you the connection
So it
to
has
the
the
radio.
PTT, the COS, and
All of
You
it.
understand
Okay.
that, right?
Not
Alright.
that much.
You're keeping up, right?
I'm trying.
Okay,
Yeah.
just checking.
It works with the All-Star really well too.
Okay,
I've
good.
had one
Well,
like
and-
for years.
Since our solution is a fork of the All-Star software and the All-Star hardware plugs into it perfectly. That's why the URIX is the right way to go.
is that for have a single radio interface or does it have two?
You can run, I think the limit is 128 radios off of the single node, but that's
Well,
limited
I'm
by
talking
the
about the
processing power.
URIX board.
Oh, no, each one of them is a single. So you
Single,
need a
okay.
URIX for every radio.
Okay,
Although mine's configured with 2 Motorola radios.
But it's considered one radio, once to
yeah,
transmit, once to
it is,
receive.
Oh, okay, yeah.
transmit and receive, so.
What exactly is the URX again?
it's a
That's-
sound interface.
It's what we call a
Sound.
ROIT interface, radio over IP interface. But in this case, it interfaces with a host node. It doesn't have the computer built into it, and that's what the Raspberry Pi will be for.
What's really nice is the software environment when you're doing with the All-Star setup or a fork of the All-Star setup. It gives you a lot of control over whether it's a repeater or whatever you're deploying it as. You've got the ability to do voice scripts and you've got a lot of control over the input and output on the mic and the volume. And, you know, it really makes it easy to make a bridge between radio and
One,
voice
it's
over IP.
running on a Debian distro, so you have all of the control that you have at the Linux command line as it is. So you can run crons to do things to make it like link and unlink at certain times for nets. So
Automatically speak the time,
yeah,
you know,
there's-
you could even interface it to give a weather report. It's just really flexible and a lot of
well, and you can run
people have used
alarm
it.
inputs to the GPIO pins and then have it voice that alarm out over the air. So let's say it's a high temperature alarm, like what we had at Pepe KO that made the repeater die. We could have a temperature sensor and then it could raise high or pull low a GPIO pin. And then a voice announcement will go over the repeater, high temperature at Pepe KO, you know, stuff like that. So it's an immensely powerful tool set. And then our fork, if people don't recall the presentation all that long ago, is to sort of bastardize VRRP, the virtual router redundancy protocol, to make it a virtual redundancy of linking controllers. So when we get a mesh of repeaters linked together, they all have to go to one central hub node. Well, if that node dies, we can actually make it so the next highest priority node comes up as that hub and they all link to it. So that's what the fork did, is that it makes it an automatically self-healing network.
Sounds like packet switching.
Well, it is all packet switching, but it's how you implement it is
Yeah.
really what the fork is. We're using VRRP for something other than it was intended.
Yeah.
But
What I had was in packet switching, redundancy is inherent to the process. So
And at the All-Star Hawaii mainland network, we've also integrated it with the Ultimate PBX system. So I can dial up from my phone, my IP phone, any of the repeaters, and I get a link right into the repeaters, and I can talk to on any All-Star repeater. I can link right in just with my phone.
how do you do the PTT?
They have numbers, assigned phone numbers to you know, like stars, 60.
Oh, and it just filters it out. and-
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
And,
I didn't know that.
yeah, it works really good.
Yeah, I've tried it out. I've talked on the Maui repeater that way.
So we've got two uninterruptible power supplies, which I collected as e-waste professionally and I'm giving to the club. Those are commercial style, not like little desktop style that we had. The committee has decided to deploy them at the moment at Pepe Kao and Mauna Loa, because neither one of those sites has e-power at all. There's a project already underway by the Digital Systems Committee to do solar at Mauna Loa. So we will redeploy that at the time solar power becomes available. But our decision right now is to deploy the battery shelves and the UPS to Pepe Kao. Since it's a harder to access site in an emergency, and since it constantly loses power as it is, to be able to keep that equipment up, including the future equipment, because there are digital nodes, which the Digital Systems Committee has voiced interest in putting up there. And also we have a whisper station up there. So all of this will be supported by that. And then we'll take the, I think we said one of the battery shelves and UPS to Pepe Kao, because that's a site that we can get to in a reasonable time frame to say deploy a portable repeater, portable generator to recharge the UPS and power the repeater.
And the existing UPS from Pepe Kao goes to.
Well, the planned UPS for Pepe Kao, which is still on my desk, has batteries that were donated by Jim. And we're instead going to take that to Kalani to bridge the gap between the time we lose power and the time the generator starts, because it is on the Coast Guard's generator. But as it is right now, everything restarts every time there's a power bump. So this will help bridge that gap. Thank you. I forgot about that part. So that's what we have for Voice Repeaters Committee.
All right, thank you. Being that you were with the communications company before, we don't have any inventory management control of the stuff that we have, right?
Yeah, not really.
So do you know of any company that provided stickies that you put on equipment and all that stuff at that company? And we can always just use it.
I mean, what we use right now is the serial number.
Yeah, oh, just the serial number.
Mhm.
I guess that would work with a short description.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, education outreach. I didn't get anything from Les on that, so we'll go with that. Old business, Jim, you and Roy and Tony, I guess.
Oh, actually, I do have an education and outreach update, because I believe that's the host committee for the social media.
Oh, what is that?
And I'd like to just show the board the Facebook page that has been created. I couldn't show it last time because the county network here is broken, but I remember to bring my hotspot today. So this was our drone picture from Field Day. And that's our current, and then here's our old logo. Has there been any movement on creating a new logo? Because I know that there was inquiries to it, but is there anybody currently driving it?
No.
In that case, I volunteer to drive that and see about finding an artist who's willing to create a new logo for us. Really, the only problem with our logo in this case is it doesn't fit the round image. But so we've got content posted up here. This is our intro. You know, I've linked to our YouTube account, our YouTube channel, and the website. This closed now. It forced me to put in hours, so we are only open during the membership meetings.
Is the artist gonna require compensation?
It may. I'm going to see who I can find to do what. But if nobody's driving it at all, then we don't know.
So just so you know, I took Lee Critchell's, what she does at the top of the ram.
Mhm.
She's got that picture of the Kalani.
Yeah,
Tower.
and that's what I used to have up here.
Yeah, and so I've got different versions of that I had put on the WordPress website.
Mhm.
Look pretty good.
Oh yeah.
So
Well, and this one I think is actually going to automatically revert back in a couple of weeks to that image.
Okay.
because it's sort of been the official club background is that shot of Kalani I took with my drone.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking we'd use as a logo, but we never really,
There've been people
decided
asking
that.
about making T-shirts and stuff like that. So-
Yeah, I don't know how good that would work on a t-shirt. It's kind of too.
So
too
I've been
much.
actively posting on it. This is one I posted the other night when I realized that 99% of the population was going to have daylight at one particular time, which of course for HF DXing is significant. So I put it out in there and let's see. I've also been posting a link to the newsletter when it comes out. I just, absolutely plagiarize Tony's email and drop it right in. And here's the link that takes you to the website. I'm putting information about coronal mass ejections and stuff like that up there. And I announced the passing of Barbara. These were the models of the propagation from field day from our horizontal antenna. Pictures from field day, live stream at field day. This is the announcement I did that we were doing field day. I put it on an ICS 213 and
Very nice.
I actually got a lot of chuckles out of that from various people. So that's what's going on with the Facebook page. And then I'll quickly show you the rough start of the YouTube channel. So far, all I've done is link a couple of the videos that were on other people's old channels, like my old channel, into playlists. So like here, nobody can ever find the technician videos from Dave Kassler that are so good. They're actually officially hosted by the ARRL now, which is why they're no longer on his page.
On Ask OG.
Yeah, so they're not on his page anymore. So
Yeah.
I just went ahead and created a full playlist here, so we can send that link out to anybody who needs to study to be a technician. The general and advanced are available through ARRL, but are behind the membership paywall. So you have to be a member to see them.
No, you should include the link. So I don't know if you're part of that group, William, on Facebook, but there's the group that they created specifically for Hawaii Ham Radio Group.
Yeah,
Okay, Hawaii Ham Radio Group has already a general class license group discussion page. They also have one for it's called the general class license learners. And they have one called the extra class license. You can put that link on our site, on our webpage, on our Facebook page. You could link
Yeah.
it to these guys.
Yep, and I've already started that. They took forever to approve the club's request to be a member of that group. I requested myself and I got it in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I requested for the club at the same time and I only got it like 2 weeks later.
Yeah, that's a pretty good group,
So,
that thing, that
but
discussion.
so like my old TechNet discussions are now here. And in fact, now that they're posted here, other people have seen them. I got an email from a ham in Connecticut asking me questions on something we did in the TechNet on EasyNet. And so I shot some emails back and forth with him, and I'm going to do a Zoom session with him, and we're going to record it, and we're going to throw it up on the club's YouTube account on modeling grids. So there's playlists in there. The only videos we have so far, these aren't edited at all, which is why you've got the random screenshot as the title card. But these are just the club meetings. So the recordings of the board meetings and the general membership meeting are up there. But it's here, so we're ready to put up additional content as it gets created. So
Did we submit this information to Amgram?
in a manner, yes, but we haven't done an article about it.
Yeah, we should. Yeah. Because I'm embarrassed to say, I didn't know you had this running.
You voted to approve it 2 meetings ago.
Hey, abiding access it.
Yeah, well, no worries. So
It's
it's
new.
well, it's very new. I mean, we only have 8 subscribers and several of them are sitting in this room.
Yeah, so
So,
we should get that to Lee so she can propagate
Yeah.
that to everybody. Okay.
but I really didn't want to push it too hard until I could actually show it to the board.
Yeah.
Because until you guys officially sanction it, it was just me getting it started. So now you guys have seen what we have. I plan on doing it a little bit cleaner in the future. I'm going to make title cards for each of these videos when I upload them. And like I said, we want to make new content and upload it. And and it occurred to me when I was chatting with this gentleman, Tony, that I'm gonna log in on Zoom and I'm gonna show him how to do this right on his computer. I can just record that, and then that's content that other people can refer to.
Yeah.
So if there's other stuff like that that people are doing, record it and we can throw it up on here. At the moment, only I have access to the YouTube account. I have not figured out how to add other people as editors yet, because I really haven't tried yet, but I know the feature is there. So the board will eventually have to figure out who's going to get access to that. The Facebook account is kind of difficult because right now this view is from my Facebook account, and for me to edit it, I have to switch in to the club's account. And it's actually a real pain in the butt to have it this way, because when notifications pop up for the club, they show up in my personal account and vice versa.
Yeah.
So the master account is probably only ever going to be locked to me. But I have figured out that I can let other people post on it. And there was a question about how to post on it when Barbara passed, because Jim ended up having to message me and said, could you please put it out there? So I found 2 users online at that time that were on the board, and that would be Joe and Jim. So I gave them permissions to be able to post to the Facebook page. It's a whole different interface. I haven't experienced that yet. So if you guys do ever give that a try, come back to the board and let us know what that experience is like.
Okay.
So, and then Thomas has volunteered to help me with the Instagram presence, which we haven't started yet. I do have an Instagram account, but I don't use it, and he's an experienced Instagram user. So.
But YouTube is really good. I like using that. I quit all my social media.
Well,
now.
Instagram connects with all the young guys.
Yeah, we're
That's
gonna
the,
get
that's the young
younger-
people's social
younger-
media is Instagram.
Yeah. I did take footage of the last meeting, and it eventually most of it rendered, but a bunch of it was corrupted on that. I got to get new cards. As soon as I get new SD cards or micro SD cards, I can either use that, and we could maybe just be able to plug it in and just actually live stream this meeting and have it auto upload to YouTube without having to go through
The Zoom recording. Yep.
everything. Yeah, so I'm looking at options as far as just making it as simple as possible and just literally plugging it in and have it do that while we're doing this. We won't have to even hit enter, just hit stop at the end. We'll go from there. I'll figure it out.
Just out of curiosity, how long does it take to upload the hour-and-a-half meeting?
It depends on where I am. If I'm at home and I do it on FirstNet, it can take quite a while. If I'm at home, I do it on Starlink, and if it's a good Starlink day, it can do it in 15 minutes. If I'm in the office and I do it over the fiber, it's just a couple minutes, if that.
Yeah. Big difference. Okay.
I have one thing to add for the E&O report. if I
Okay.
may. So the newsletter that's going out, it's going out to 258 people on the list, but we're also getting publicity through a number of other sites. For example, Big Island ARRL News, that's Russ Roberts' site. He publishes our link every month. And we also publish it to Big Island Radio. Now, I just got the metrics on our new website enabled. So we should be able to, at our next meeting, put some of those website usage statistics out to the board, so we know how many people are accessing the website. From what I've seen so far, the newsletter, the Hamgram, is far and away what everybody wants to see. You know, that's where they go. Everybody loves the Hamgram.
Yeah.
So we're getting very good exposure.
Yeah.
We'll see what it is next month, but it's pretty heavily trafficked.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So what about the request that we received to archive?
Yeah, I have that down as digital library.
Okay, so I was just looking for it, couldn't find it. So, and it just jogged my memory. I wanted to make sure we didn't forget
And
that.
I failed to discuss that at the last meeting, so I wanted to get agreement from the board that we would allow that group to use the information.
Yeah, I move to approve that request and suggest that we also take them up on their offer to have us send any paper copies we have and have them scan them to archive.
Yeah, she asked for that too.
Yep.
You guys all got a copy of that email, right?
Yes.
Right.
Really?
So I'll
So-
second the request to approve the archive
Yeah.
of the BIARC newsletters.
Okay, any discussion before the question? No?
We did claim a copyright, so they probably do want a written, you know,
Yeah, I'll
Statement.
respond by email and say
Okay.
that they have authorization. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay, so the next question, who's gonna own that action item?
Who's gonna own the what?
who's gonna do
Who's,
it.
who's gonna
He's-
actually reach out to them and say yes and provide the copyright?
I'm
And then
gonna
also,
respond to her email that I got from her asking
okay,
for permission. So I'll respond to that.
so we'll leave that with the president. I was just making sure we didn't need to give it to a committee.
Yeah. Okay. Respond. Okay, Jim, actually, Roy,
Yes.
what's the status of the swap meet table and all that kind of stuff?
Well, the donated equipment has all been taken care of at the, at the time we supposed to, so that was great. That meeting, everything went bye-bye. He took a bunch and we just donated everything else. Table for setting up the swap table was there. It grew, it's 2 tables now.
Oh, right on.
So it's 2 tables long, so it's there, you know, my stuff is there, anybody need any pricing, let me know, I think, Hanks bought, you know. Free stuff and whatever else is out there, so.
It does say free when it's free.
No, I guess he was gonna ask, I guess, I don't know, does it also say free?
All of my stuff in the middle is free stuff.
Okay,
It's PSK 31, sound card parts, Camtronics, TNC, stuff I haven't used in 20 years.
yeah,
Like stuff, no.
anybody like, those are not boat anchors, those are paperweights. So if you use paperweights, they're in the middle.
We can tell the membership that this is gonna be available at every meeting. And they
Yep.
can bring things in.
Yep,
or
that's the whole
pick up
purpose.
things. Okay.
Fine.
got
So
it.
I was a little bit concerned because I know some of this stuff people are selling and they definitely wanted to get money for it.
Yeah.
I was concerned that people would think stuff is free and not know, and there'd be confusion. You know, so maybe,
Well, the thing is, if you bring your stuff on a table, then it's your responsibility to man your stuff. Don't just leave it there and then expect somebody else to be your peddler.
well, if
You,
we
you,
have
your
2
own self.
tables, you could have a free table and a paid table.
Yeah, it could be.
Or you could use like sticky notes, have a green one for free and the yellow ones write
That's
the
a good
price
idea.
down.
I
Okay.
think all the free stuff should be on one side.
I just didn't want to have any
Okay.
contention over
Or
it.
put the free
happening.
stuff in that cart, you know, right there. That way it's away from the table. That might be a better idea. See that cart? Right there?
Actually, I think what we ought to recommend that if people bring items that aren't free, that they have to label them with a price.
Yeah,
And anything that they
Oh.
bring that's not labeled is assumed free.
yeah. Well, I never label any of my stuff. It's not
Yeah,
free.
but we're talking about from here on. out.
Okay.
Okay, where's Joe?
Joe's over there looking at free stuff.
You got that?
Once it's free,
Yeah.
then
That people, okay, got it, that's good.
yeah, more
Good.
paperweights.
No paperweight.
Hey.
Okay, new business, can we get a real quick debriefing on the field day, things we should do, things we shouldn't have done, things that we could have done better.
It was
things like
hot.
that. It was
It was
hot,
hot.
It was hot.
I think we started too early.
too early.
Yep. I think that, because everyone said that the band's livened up in the afternoon, which is kind of what I would expect.
Hmm.
I mean, the propagation was not good when we started. Plus, even though we're starting at the official start time and it's already midday on the mainland when they do that, I don't think everyone's set up ready at that point. So I think that we ought to start at midday and go into the cooler evening with
Yeah.
it.
But that being said, I think the main focus
Yep.
of setting up field day, it better be on the main HF antenna setup. Never mind all the rest of the stuff out there, because 2-meter stuff and everything else is duck soup to put up. You had the CBers out there along with Jeremy putting up the stuff for the HF, which is not right because you know, it should be, the club should focus on the biggest thing first and then worry about the little things, not the little things and then you got three guys trying to put up the big stuff. It should be everybody put up the big stuff first and then do your little things. Because if not, no one's gonna want to bring, I'm not gonna want to bring down an antenna next year if we're gonna be struggling with it and sweating, if everybody's sitting on the table and just talking start about 2 meter stuff and then we put
Well,
up this HF
And I think part of
antenna.
the problem is that we waited a little too long to talk about the antenna setup. It was really decided on the tech net on the Wednesday before field day.
Well, we brought it up many meetings and there's no movement.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
got
problem.
it, but I think that we just need to kind of be a little bit firmer about it and say, because like the hassle of not having the coax long enough.
Right,
We had to bunt on a lot of things.
right,
Next year, we know if we're gonna be in this same place, we know what we need to do to set up.
right.
And I think that'll be a benefit of if we do go to this place again. Going to a different spot every year, we have to learn the ins and outs of each spot.
Yeah.
So I think if we go back to the spot again, and if we decide early on, hey, because with that particular antenna, we could have run it as an inverted L, we just didn't have the equipment to do it.
Mhm.
And that antenna is really good at doing an inverted L, because then you can put the feed point at the ground. We wouldn't have had to throw the balun all the way up in the air.
Yeah.
But we didn't have what we needed to do it, and that kind of crippled us with it.
I think, yeah, because you're right, because what happened was we brought it up several times and it seemed like people just kind of lay back and wait for somebody else to throw an antenna out there.
That's the.
Because I'm not part of the operating board, but I had to
Yep.
throw my antenna back out there again because nobody else bought anything else
Well,
down.
that's the unfortunate part of the hobby at the moment, is that there's a lot of people that just want to show up and have it done for them.
Exactly. Yeah,
My concern about starting midday is at that, especially at like places like that, if you wait till midday, you're not gonna have parking, you might not have the spot you want. The reason we got there before, when they opened, was to ensure that we got the
no,
ideal location that we were looking for, not having to hoof things a million miles, and our cars were close by where we could monitor them and,
However, there
access.
was so much turnover there as it was, that I still think we'd be okay. But that was my only take on it, because I heard a lot of feedback saying, oh, the propagation got a lot better right after you guys tore down, and,
Yeah, I heard
Yeah.
that.
Well, I'm still a little miffed about, everybody, has second guesses everything, but
Yeah.
If the times that Roy and I have operated later, by the time it's time to break down, he and I are breaking down alone in the dark by ourselves.
Mhm.
Everybody's had their little visit and they've gone home and they're
Well, I
eating dinner and we're busting our chops in
I
the
think
dark.
part of the problem is that this all got thrown onto one person this year, Joe. And he
Yeah.
had to coordinate it on his own. So you guys stepped in and bailed him out.
well,
on
problem
that
is
side.
because the last couple of years, it's been on one other person, me.
Yeah.
And Jim's been there with me,
Yep.
8 o'clock at night on the mountain, when I'm climbing in the dark, taking off my antenna mask, and nobody's there. And we're freezing at 40-degree weather, and everybody's like, okay, bye, and they're gone. So,
Sounds
yeah,
like we need
it's-
firm
it's-
assignments made at least 30 days prior to the
Yeah,
event.
it's like,
It
oh,
didn't-
we
it didn't
want
matter.
you guys
Who's
to
gonna
operate
tear
all night, but we don't want to.
We did that, but it still didn't matter, right? We did that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
not
It
really
didn't matter.
quite that precisely, because there's a task that I have chosen to own for field day, and that's the filtering.
Yep.
And at field day, I show up with whatever is needed to be able to accomplish filtering.
Yep.
And you have, not very verbosely, but you've kind of committed to providing the HF connection.
I bought the radio down that was donated to
Yeah.
the club.
Yeah, I got it, but you still show up with
Yeah.
the HF
Yeah,
radio.
exactly.
You still show up with an HF antenna. But if we need other people to be doing that, we need to delegate it. Or can't even delegate in this club. We've got to sucker some volunteer into participating.
Because he asked on many occasions, who's bringing this and bringing that, and you can hear cookie frogs and crickets. So of course I bring my LiPo battery out of my truck again because there was no other battery. That big battery came out of my truck again
Mhm.
for the third year. And it's like, yeah. And then the problem is, it's frustrating that you spend all these hours and time and sweat setting it up. And then it's just sitting there and everybody's just kind of looking at it like, no, go over there. The microphone's not gonna bite you.
Pick that mic
Squeeze
up.
that mic, yeah, and start calling
Yeah,
CQ.
that's the thing. It's I almost sometimes feel like we might as well just not have field day, just have a picnic. and everybody can sit around eating and talk and
Talk about
save all
glory
the trouble of
days.
hauling equipment, because very few people actually end up operating.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 people operated during field day.
Jeremy
And Glenn did for about 5 minutes.
tried doing CW, didn't work, so he gave
Do we
up.
want field day to become an instructive thing?
No, it should be a
Well, field day is supposed to be an instructive experience because the whole impetus behind field day is getting people accustomed to setting up in the field in an emergency.
Yeah.
That's why it was created. But at the same time, it's become a very social thing. And that's where this turns into this barbecue picnic thing.
Yeah, well, from my perception, going to the field, this is my first time I've been to a field day. And all equipment's all there, everybody's hunched over and everything. It's not very inviting. You don't feel like I can go up to you and say, what are you doing? Or what's happening, that kind of thing.
I think
So
the
if we want it
reason,
to be instructive, then I think.
I think the reason for that is
Yeah.
because there's 3 or 4 people doing all the work.
I know, that's what I mean. And it's huddled. It becomes an exclusive group that nobody wants
Well,
to
it's
go
an
and
exclusive
interrupt.
group because nobody else is chipping in.
I think people would chip in if it appeared that they should be
Well, we've got to
involved.
catch 22 here because if you have just a couple of people who it all falls on and they got to get out there and get it done because they're the only people willing to do it, they can't step back and try to make it more inclusive to try to get more people in. We've got to
Okay.
find another way to solve that problem.
So let's
Because
find a
either I can put the
way.
filtering together or I can go and try to rally the troops. Either he can set up the HF rig or he can go try to rally the troops. He can set up the digital rig and the power, or he can go rally the troops.
Okay,
So if we want to have a field day with radios, you got to have people there to set it up. And really what we're talking
Not
about.
people that come later after they set
Yeah.
up and going, man, we can't get in there. Well, you wasn't here.
I mean, because
You weren't here to do it.
really what we have is we've got Roy, we've got Jim, we've got Joe, we've got Tony, who did a whole bunch, including manning that grill during the heat.
okay.
But
why don't
nobody
we do
else
this
did
then?
anything.
And to make it instructive, set up a schedule as to when the installation is gonna be, and if people wanna be involved with installation, come down and have them become a real part of that thing. With operating time, takedown time. I went there 6 o'clock and nobody was there. I wanted to go help tear down. You guys all left already. And, I didn't know that they were gonna shut down at 6 o'clock.
Well, neither
so-
did we, but
Yeah, well,
the solar storm happened.
okay,
And
so I
that
think,
was it.
I think it
Yeah,
sounds
that's
like
what
we
I-
need a little bit more planning
Preparation.
in
Yeah,
the
but
purpose of it.
With nobody stepping up to help Joe, how much more planning can we get? He did everything he could.
Well, we didn't ask.
No, but he's the only guy on the operating board. He's the only
He's the
guy.
only person on the operating activity.
There's nobody else
No.
there.
Yeah, no, we didn't really ask the members to come in, and we said, come down and be part of the field day.
Right.
Have fun.
Well, I mean, I asked everybody, what are you bringing? How can we do this? I try to get as much information as I can think to get it all done, and everybody else, helped out and bailed me out.
Bringing it
but,
up on nets.
Yeah, I kept trying
and-
Now,
to.
what I'm trying to do here is, in our club, we run Oktoberfest every year. We divide it into sections as to decoration put up, table put up, cool, the food set up, all this, so people know what these things are. You volunteer for the different
Yeah,
parts.
we need like at least 5 people on an ad hoc field day committee
Yeah, so,
who each have a role.
Okay, so let's
that's
let's
been-
do that. Let's program this thing so that
It's
people
one
can
thing to say it, but I
participate.
don't understand how we're gonna do that. We're not getting the.
Well, that's what. the
By
committee will
starting
figure out.
early.
interest.
We'll start early.
The ad hoc committee will figure this
Yeah,
out.
'cause this is the first year I'm not on operating committee board or the operating committee. And this is exactly what I wanted to see what happen is somebody like Joe who's limited on the, chairing the thing and not having it rely on 1 or 2 people, mainly me and then Jim.
Yeah.
Because in the past, as I've been on the operating committee, I made sure that I put everything up myself and everything, but that's because I have all this stuff that I bring down there. And I took myself off for that particular reason to see who else is gonna step up and bring stuff down. Joe's trying to, coordinate everything, but then nobody steps up. So at the last minute, I throw myself back in there again and threw everything back in because nobody else is gonna, even they didn't bring on the battery. Honestly, we would have no HF. If I didn't bring down the antenna, didn't bring down my pole, we'd have absolutely no HF except for digital and 2 meter.
Okay, let's program this thing so that it's structured, so the
Yeah.
members know what's gonna
We
happen.
can include that as part of our activity today, because we were gonna discuss field day, right?
Yeah.
We should start from now for
So
next
let's-
year.
Yeah, let's start from now for next year.
Well, there's also
Okay.
winter field day coming up.
Yeah.
You know,
And let's
winter
get-
field
I'm
day is
just,
coming
I'm
up
just
too.
worried that we say we're gonna solve it using a problem we already have. The problem is, we can't get people on the committees as it is. We can't get people to participate where it is. So we're saying we're just gonna get people to participate. How are we going to get people to participate?
That's-
We have tried.
That's
and-
the question that we wanna solve. So
Yeah.
By having an ad hoc committee, program this thing such that we can go and get people involved, because people are not gonna volunteer if you don't tell them what you're gonna be there for.
Yeah.
You know, if you just tell them to come down and see what field day is
By
about.
making
a lot of
specific
people not gonna be
assignments and
there.
discussing it well in advance, you know. getting
I'll
people to
sit back
step
and
up.
watch, but I think we're gonna have more creative solutions than just to say,
No,
oh, we're
it's
gonna use
not.
the same thing we failed to do.
Exactly, that's a creative solution that the committee has to put together.
No, I think it's a failed solution. We've tried putting committees together.
Well, it doesn't
We
mean,
don't get
we're-
volunteers.
just because it failed in the past, doesn't mean we shouldn't try.
We
in the
can keep
future.
trying.
Yeah,
It sounds like the definition of insanity to me.
no, I don't think so. I think if we.
I'll volunteer to help on
Yeah.
whatever you need, but, I'm not, that doesn't mean, volunteering to help set up, okay? But then, again, still, who's in charge of bringing down this stuff?
Yeah. by
That's
being
the stuff that
specific,
doesn't
we
get
need to
set
be
in stone
specific
everything.
about it. you
We
know.
need to have that,
Everybody has to have.
that needs
a
to be set in
role.
stone first. Who's gonna bring
It's
down this?
defined.
Who's gonna bring down that? Okay, then we can go from there and go, okay. Now we need volunteers to help set up this, volunteers to set up that, but that first part is not even put in stone yet, like,
How is that gonna be
There's-
any different than telling people that we need programs?
exactly,
Who gives programs at this club? Who actually presents?
Jim.
And
And you.
I've done some.
We have, you have, but we've got just maybe 3 or 4 people that do all the programs, and we ask and ask and ask. And that's so defined. That is so immensely defined. Whereas this is a very broad thing. There's a lot of roles and this and that. We can't get people to come and participate on one day for 2 hours.
Well, case in point, William, I just made a suggestion to bring the civil defense director down. And I got 12 reasons why I shouldn't do that. How encouraging is that to have people promote ideas for programming?
So all the responses should just be blowing smoke and sweetness and
No,
light.
no, it's not blowing smoke. We have a problem. We need to solve it. Let's apply our collective wisdom to this thing and not just say, well, it didn't happen
Well,
in the
if
past.
you wanted to
We
grab a
got
hot
bad
pan, I would
history,
still
we
warn you
shouldn't
that,
do it.
hey, that's hot. I wouldn't do that.
No, I realize that, but the thing is, we gotta try. We gotta keep on trying to find a way.
My
to
point
get
is
through.
that I don't think we should keep trying the same thing over and over and over and over.
Different
again.
ways
So,
then,
okay,
let's
that's,
think of a different way.
And don't conflate these two things, because they're totally different things.
Yeah.
There's a lot of information I need to impart to you about.
And like I said,
civil
I
defense.
need to talk to you offline about the current political
Yeah.
issue then.
Yeah.
So
and I'll
there's a
share
lot of
some
stuff
of my
you don't
experiences
have.
with civil defense.
I don't like
Maybe that'll
politics.
help you to understand what civil defense is all about.
Okay,
Well,
Yeah.
but that's past civil defense. Past civil defense has nothing to do with the current situation.
No, but the mission is still the same.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's changed.
Well, anyway,
Oh.
the point is, let's not give up.
Yeah.
You know, it sounds like every time we were.
But I think you hear what I'm saying. I don't want to keep smacking our head against the wall. We need to try new stuff. We need to find new ways to get
Yeah.
volunteers to participate in things like field day, to participate in committees. and-
Okay, any other input on field day?
no. No, not that I know of. I don't know. Oh,
Okay,
the
it-
radio.
It's on my bench at the moment. When I get a chance, I'm gonna align it and test the.
It was
receipt
off,
sensitivity.
but it was donated to the club, but it was a little off frequency. That could have been a reason why we weren't getting as much
No,
contacts.
because when we made contacts, like at Johnson.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
So
yeah.
the contacts that we did make were crystal clear. The writ was needed to be able to, hear them as clear as possible.
That you can align that though.
But yeah, that's why it exists. So no, it's just the reference oscillator and that thing's probably off a little bit. When my meter comes back from calibration, I'll align it and we'll see how it does.
I have something to throw up for field day, for future field day, if could. If anybody could maybe donate a dedicated key that they may have, an extra key. Because the biggest problem I seen had was they're scrambling to try and get it to work with the radio because they had the different plug. And if we get, if we can get a dedicated CW key, we can already have it already set
Yeah,
up.
and I think that we ought to get that for the 991 that you're working on.
Yes, or 991 plug into anything.
Yeah, I got it, but
Cool.
I think we ought to get a key for that
Yes,
991.
I agree. Just one of those simple 3D printer ones.
The problem was wiring the jack. If you had a pre-wired jack, you could put those two wires on any key.
Yeah,
It was a jack.
Well, the paddle.
Well, and then the other problem is that this radio is not made for full break-in. So the radio we were using is not ideal for CW operation, whereas the 991.
Next year's
supports
one's
full
gonna be
break-in.
killer. We're gonna have the 991 at the field day, so that's gonna be
So I think that we
done.
could, we'll have no problems once we have the 991.
Yeah.
And then we
I
can
think-
use.
And you know what,
for-
I think for field day next year, honestly, we're not gonna need one separate digitals. You can leave, or you're not gonna be here.
I might not be, I'm not sure when during the year
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
leaving.
Yeah, before we conclude, I wanna make a motion to padlock him in this container on the front of his flight, so he misses his flight to Connecticut, but anyway, but we can use a 991 for the all-in-one, and then that way we can take turns. So that way it doesn't get burnt out feeling like how we get this year. We'll dedicate so many hours for, so many time for digital, voice and CW, because that rig can do
Actually,
all.
that's a good idea. I think if we set up windows of, hey, let's do CW
Just
operations.
one rig.
And people can come and watch CW, because there's a lot of people who are interested in CW, but it's like this almost black art to them, so they can
Right.
come and watch the magic of
Well,
CW happening.
And when people talk about, why have just one rig, then we can't operate this, we can't operate that. Well, nobody does anyway. So that's a moot point because you don't have guys blasting off on 3 different things at once anyway, as we've seen in the past field day and this year. So, don't bring grumbling into this. We're gonna do one radio that can do it all, and with this dedicated time slots. You wanna do voice, make sure you're there when they have the voice slot open.
Mhm.
You wanna do
Well,
CW?
And
Be there when
that'll
the
cut down
CW
on the
slot open.
setup time immensely,
Yeah, perfect, a one radio.
because we don't have to worry about the filtering the same, we don't
Yeah.
have to worry about power for 2 radios.
It's got a
we
built-in
don't have to worry-
tuner, it's got everything, running on your X50A, it plugs in the back, we can do the satellite stuff all on the same
No,
radio.
we'll still run a separate go-to radio though.
Yeah, the one that less
Yeah.
donated, the tri-bander.
Taking off, Jim, you sent an email out talking about the equipment that you took down, your equipment and everything like that. How feasible is it for the club to have field day equipment bulk stop
We're
somewhere?
working on that. That's the
That's-
991 that.
That's what we did
So
the
that's
authorized
donation
the
table.
expenditure
So-
for, and
So that will contain everything that's necessary.
Oh,
yeah,
to
and
put
that's
in
why I
a-
asked that the case that he gets is big enough to carry the Anytone radio with it, because then you
Yeah.
just take one case and you've got our go-to radio, our HF, all mode, all band radio.
yeah.
And it's one case at that point.
Okay, so
That's
that will
ideal.
make it instructive, right? Everything's there.
Yep.
You can
Makes
show
it
them
easy.
exactly what is needed to put it together,
Oh man, it's plug and play.
And
run the
and
antenna.
when I
out.
leave my pop-up tent, I'm gonna donate it to the club. Because it's
Oh.
a good pop-up tent and it works. It's not real.
Oh, you mean a
flimsy.
canopy thing?
The canopy, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It has sides and everything that Velcro on and zipper up, and so you can totally enclose it if the weather becomes bad. And
Yeah, I heard that those things cost about $150 each, right? So-
yeah, I don't remember how much.
It depends. There's definitely a cost versus performance curve with them. So the lower cost consumer end, you get in $150, and those do good for a lot of this stuff, but you could really scare yourself with what the cost on the really, really heavy duty ones are.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah, this one's kind of in between. Like Paul's had like really thin tubing,
mhm.
and I think, bends real easy, whereas this thing, you have to really abuse it to mess it up. So
See, if we have these things all set up, like even the tables and chairs, and we don't have to ask people to bring their stuff in.
no, you still do, because the club's never gonna have enough chairs for field day, so,
and then where would you put them? Store them?
yeah.
Yeah.
I
so
mean, the
they
club
bring
currently
their
owns
own.
2 folding chairs.
But the table is on the existing picnic table is perfect.
Yeah,
That's
that worked
that's
out
the reason why we
great.
gotta go down there early and couple that
Yeah.
spot,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
is
yeah.
to get that picnic table. any picnic table.
That was really.
The problem I'm having with doing the, sending in the cost to you for the radio and the case, it's not the radio, it's the freaking case, the Pelican. If you notice on Amazon, if I find I'm trying to find the rollaway one, because that's the one that's the big enough to hold everything. And
I'll shoot you a link.
oh no, I got
Okay.
plenty. The problem is they're available now, and by the time you get it, they're gone, or they're no longer the shipping to Hawaii.
Oh, no.
So-
So that's why what you do is you bring in the price of the most expensive one, and we authorize up to that.
Yeah.
So that way we're covered.
Well, we're trying to keep everything within that $2,000 budget,
Window,
remember?
Yeah, but if you need to go over, we can vote
Yeah.
to see if there's
Okay,
money
All
to
right.
go over.
Let's program this all together for the next few days.
yeah.
Make it less stressful.
Well, once I can get the money situated where we can place the order, and we take care of radio, case, all in one. That radio, Alan, if when you see it, you're gonna go, man, I should have bought that instead of the 7300. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not pro Yaesu, actually I am,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
because Yaesu's got their poop together, because that radio does everything that everything can do. So I'm just gonna say, when you see it, you're gonna be like, crap.
It's a convenient radio. That's why that's the radio I recommend to people when they want to get into the hobby.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a lot of stuff for this ad hoc
One
committee
second.
that's gonna work.
William, could you send Paul the Zoom link? He needs it.
Paul Dukas.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much for a very exciting debriefing. We need to start working on the slate of officers and directors for 2024. Right now, are there any volunteers to do that? Committee to put that together.
You're talking about to do the election?
Yeah.
The directors.
Well, so
2024.
the first thing we have to do is in November, we have to hold the
I
election.
know, November's gonna come here real quick.
Yeah,
I would
so-
like to get it started in August.
And we've got 3 positions opening, right? Or is it 4?
Yeah, 3.
Yeah.
So I will volunteer, since I'm the only board member that does not need to be elected by the membership. I'm appointed by the board.
Oh, yeah.
I have no conflict of interest. I will conduct the election as Paul did when he was trustee and as I did last year.
So you're gonna be the nominations committee.
And the proctor of the actual voting and all that.
Okay. Wait, so you'll, I'll put your name next to it, William.
You might want to publish in the like newsletter what positions are going to be
Yeah,
opening.
and earlier than later, because last
Yeah.
year we were like, oh crap, well, this is the last newsletter we're
I
gonna be able
know,
to put it
I
in. We
know.
gotta get in there 2 days in
Yeah.
advance. So I would start publishing it now.
Yeah,
In August, right?
Oh, yeah.
Start August, okay.
yeah, that's
That in November, we gotta have this vote. And
Yeah, good
we've
point.
got 3
Jim.
openings.
Thank you.
and-
Okay, have Graham. All righty, announcements. Any announcements? No?
Barbara's funeral,
Oh. Oh, what,
Thursday,
17th, right? No,
whatever Thursday is.
yeah, at 10 o'clock. I remember.
and that should be announced during the actual meet, the
Club meeting.
Where's
Club
the
meeting.
media?
Total?
Well, does that get in the hamgram or no?
Any other announcements? We'll announce that at the membership meeting.
Okay.
Okay, membership meeting time for that. Yeah, good idea. That way all the club members are here, not just the board. Yeah, how many people are on the board anyway?
7,
7.
7.
6 elected, 1 trustee.
Oh, do we need more board members?
Yeah.
Okay.
In
More
in
committee members.
November or January, whatever.
I mean, yeah, 3 of them are expiring at the end of this year. Me
Who-
being one of
which
them.
3
Who's
expired?
expiring? Do we remember?
When is the funeral?
Thursday.
It doesn't say here.
Jim, are you expiring?
I don't know.
Next page.
Well, I'm expiring either way because
Oh,
I don't want to commit to being on the board. So I don't know exactly when I'm going to leave. So,
okay.
yeah, so, yeah.
I would actually rather that you, myself, I'd rather that you did stay on the board. and that we did a midterm replacement because it'd be a lot easier than trying to fill 4 positions if that's what it would do to
If
us.
mine's not expiring, I'll stay on it until I know
Okay.
when I'm leaving.
Okay,
And then,
any, as you all know, and thanks again, Jim, for bringing this up. One of the things that both Richard and Barbara really enjoyed was ice cream. And so I'm donating 4 tubs of ice cream for today's membership meeting, so we can all enjoy in remembering her.
I thought we were gonna reimburse you, but thank you.
Yeah. no. And it's a favorite ice cream. It's mango cream.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, we even checked that no eggs.
Yeah.
Okay, next meeting on August 13.
I have one item I almost forgot about when you said next meeting. I have approached the Hawaii County Fire, because the university shot me down hard. They wanted a ton of money to let us meet at any of their rooms, no matter what. Even though I'm affiliated with the university. I tried and tried, that's not gonna happen. But the fire department has said that they might be able to find us a permanent home. One option we're looking at right now is the training room at Station 3 on High.
Oh,
So
okay.
I have to submit a written request so that that can go through the process. So I would like the board to approve me to reach out to the fire department officially and request that they help us with sponsoring a location for a permanent home.
Where is High now?
It's right
Oh, the
across from
new
the
one?
Union Golf Course. Yeah.
Yeah, the new
Oh,
one.
the new one.
Oh,
I
wow.
thought this was gonna throw us at the old one on
Yeah,
Kaumana. I was
that's,
thinking, no,
Ivy,
Kaumana.
No, no.
right? Yeah, okay, great.
Ah,
That's
I'm
a
all for
motion.
it.
Any second? Roy, all
Second,
those in
Well, it
favor?
wasn't technically a motion, so,
but
Well, it is a motion.
It is, and it's
Just
approved.
authorization
okay,
to
so
approve.
I then move, this is William.
Yeah,
and
yeah, I
then,
second and-
Roy seconded.
everybody better
All right.
approve it. Yeah, okay, good.
Thank you
Yeah,
very much for a
good.
very productive meeting, and we'll take a break until 2 o'clock. We'll start the
Yay.
We didn't
membership
vote
meeting.
on that motion.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
motion needs a vote.
Yeah, need a vote,
For-
vote,
oh,
vote.
All
the
those in
motion
favor
is-
say aye.
Aye. Nobody
Motion
approving.
carried, meeting
Aye.
adjourned.
All right, I'm stopping the recording.
Yeah.